Part 3 of Punchin' Rainbows. As they moved through the simple streets of the war-torn land, a slew of soldiers marched, which made all the civilians push over to the side of the road. Waves of people bunched in temporary confusion. Cell, Rolando, and Lil Bombshell were out of each other's eyeshot. Suddenly, a black bag fell over Lil Bombshell's head and everything went dark. The little girl only had a moment when she saw a young man, and a big man with a horribly patchwork face. She reflexively punched out with everything she had. Her little hands balled into little fists and ejected from her arm. The shooting projectile streaked out into the surprised young man's face, smashing into his jaw, shattering it, and the force pushed the bone into his brain, killing him instantly. Lil Bombshell couldn't see a thing, but her ejected fist magnetically pulled back onto her handless arm and reattached. The big man took one last attempt to restrain a deceptively capable child, attempting to use his weight to smother her into submission. He could not get a hold because she struggled like a cornered cat. "Cell! Firecracker! Help!" she yelled. The would-be kidnapper dropped the bag and used the bustle of the streets to slip away. Cell and Rolando came to Lil Bombshell's aid, and she flailed her arms wildly, not knowing why it was so dark. Cell took the sack off her head, and her oversized helm was spun out of place, blocking her sight. Rolando twisted the faceplate forward, and Lil Bombshell took hold of it with two hands. She smiled when she saw them both. "Someone tried to take me, but I was like, boom, and I shot my fist at him." Normally, Cell would have tuned out her exaggerations, but the evidence of her claim was lying dead in a bloody mess at their feet. "Come on, I don't need to try to explain this," Cell said as the two others fled the scene. After brief day-to-day errands, Cell and Rolando worked out that their best bet was to go north and see if there was any place in this accursed land that wasn't collapsing in on itself with the strife of war. Cell looked into getting Lil Bombshell's armor fitted correctly. Comical, ill-fitting armor could prove disastrous when put through the crucible of combat. They also managed to pick up a few bits of gear that might help them fend for themselves if they came under unexpected attack. The three found themselves at an inn, and Cell put his back to the setting sun. "Why won't you look at the sun, Cell?" said Lil Bombshell. The musician said nothing. He just played his guitar until the little girl grew tired of asking. Rolando went off to the corner in silent prayer. His rosary clicked with persistence. "What you doing?" Lil Bombshell asked. "I'm praying to Jesus for you, Cell, and the world." "Can he hear you? Can I talk to him?" "Hello, Jesus, I'm here." Rolando smiled. "You can speak to him." He pulled out a small black Bible from the folds of his coat. "This book tells you everything you need to know." "Well, I'll talk to him one day when I learn how to read." Rolando smiled. Lil Bombshell lost interest and attempted to wander out of the room. With one eye open, Cell said, "Where are you going?" "To the bathroom." Cell closed his eyes and said, "Alright." The little explorer didn't lie, not exactly, because there probably was a bathroom back at the tavern. She crept out of the building and ventured out alone in the waning light of the city. In an alleyway very close to their inn, she saw the other survivor woman drinking, as if she hadn't stopped from earlier in the morning. She placed a root down that was the size of a small piece of yarn. Lil Bombshell was transfixed with the process. The twig rooted into the dirt, then rapidly began to grow, sprouting leaves. Those leaves began to overgrow into each other until they formed the suggestion of limbs, arms, legs, head. It towered over the woman and had the vague hint of a man-like form that was Behemoth. "Wow, it's me, Lil Bombshell. What's that?" said the little girl. The woman looked the child in the face, and tears began to uncontrollably dribble out. "Don't cry. I know it's sad, but we lived, and we can be friends." Every word that Lil Bombshell spoke seemed to be a dagger in her heart, diminishing her, making her smaller and smaller. She cried heavily, and slowly steeled herself. She muttered to the giant born of brush, "Kill her," in a small yet resigned voice. Lil Bombshell's face turned into a mask of fear as the fiend of foliage barreled down on her. With awkward, misshapen, gangly limbs, it charged at her. The little girl rolled and swayed. Each swing was one that cheated death. She quickly reached into her pocket and pulled the one thing that she managed to buy at market, purely on a whim. It was as if God were looking out for children. She tossed the vial and it erupted into a massive explosion of flame. The brush beast and the woman were enveloped in its orange glow. The woman's screams rang out, then faded into dust, and she fell down a charred husk. The beast was on fire, but it didn't move. It just placidly looked at Lil Bombshell as it was burned black and melted away. Cell and Rolando ran into the alley. They were looking for the devious little girl when she didn't return, but the scream pointed the way. The three looked at the woman's body, and all her secrets died with her. Why had she done it, or what had she done? We're all lost in oblivion. Lil Bombshell wandered into the ashes and noticed the small twig wiggling out of the fire that was dying. She picked it up and wrapped it around her wrist with a purpose. "Hello, little friend," she said innocently. Cell looked through the woman's pouch and found 20 pieces of silver. The little girl didn't die in this one. I am thankful because I really had my reservations when I first heard the story. Don't know if Isabella's got any more tales about this one. I'm curious, don't know. Maybe if you get on my case, I get on her case, and she'll get on Pac's case, and then she'll tell me the next story. But until then, I guess we'll never know. I'm Maurice Monroe, and I'm signing off.